Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my little corner of the interwebs. We are barefaced and beautiful because we're going to be doing a chat to get ready with me this morning. I'm getting ready for the day, so I'm going to look a little raggedy for the first couple minutes as we pull it together, but it is what it is. So for today's kind of topic, here's the deal. This is something that randomly came to my mind yesterday, so there's no script for this. I just wanted to come and talk off the cuff, so bear with me if it doesn't really flow very well because there's no real thought put into this. I know that sounds terrible, but I just wanted to have a conversation and share what's kind of been sitting on my mind the last couple hours. That being said, you guys, if this is your first time watching me, welcome. Here on my little corner of the interwebs, I like to focus on high-end luxury and indie makeup and how to get it at the best prices. I love chat to get ready with me. That's kind of the vibe over here. And I'm still kind of figuring out what 2024 is going to look like. So if you're here for a little bit of a ride, a little bit of a journey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join the fam. It's a good time over here. We good peoples, I'll say that much. So for the video, I'm actually going to be focusing on the Trick or Treat palette from Odin's Eye and Angelica Nyqvist. I did pick this up during their Black Friday sale. I've used it once already, and I am planning to do a full video review, if you want to call it, of that. So I figured why not pull this out because I kind of enjoyed it yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, my look yesterday was fire. So this I'm expecting to be one that really stands out to me this year as a palette that I'm gonna fall in love with. So this is what the color story is looking like. I of course am not gonna be focusing on the specifics of what the what shades I'm putting on, how I'm applying it. There we go, now the lighting is adjusted. But I just wanted to show you guys what I was putting on my eyes today, and I'm gonna go for a kind of red fiery look. That's the plan. All right, so you already kind of saw from the title and the thumbnail that what I want to talk about today is sort of the duality of overconsumption versus minimalism, and how I've been feeling about it, how I've been thinking about it, and why it's kind of been on my mind. And quite frankly, I was just minding my business like I always do, and I don't know what happened, but at some point my Instagram algorithm became just inundated with Stanley Cup videos. So that's really what kind of sparked this conversation for me, which is the Stanley Cup, which, as you all know, has been viral for, I want to say, at least a year now at this point. It has become the cup that everybody needs to have. And it comes in a couple different sizes, a couple different shapes, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, the most popular cup is this 45-ounce tumbler that retails for $45. So it's not cheap. She's not cheap at all. And in the last couple of days, I've been flooded with all of these Stanley Cup videos on Instagram for some reason. And I've come to learn a couple of things about the company. So from what I understand, Stanley is a super old brand. It's been around for about 100 years. And it was designed for working men, working class men, people who had construction jobs or whatnot. Because it is this sort of heavy, durable cup that's meant to last. It's not supposed to break. It's not supposed to do anything. Heck, it survived the car fire. So that's who sort of the target audience or the target customer was for this Stanley Cup. And then somehow some vlogger, some woman got a hold of the cup and posted about it on her blog, I believe. And suddenly all the women's went crazy. Suddenly, it became the thing that every single female wanted to have. And I'm saying female specifically because I do think that this is something that the women are going crazy over. I have yet to see a man be all up in his feelings running through Targets and whatnot to get a Stanley Cup for himself. But I could be wrong. I just haven't seen it. To me, it seems like this kind of female craze. And I also say that too because one of the things that I noticed with the brand is that they seem to have undergone this kind of pivot, because where it was literally just a cup that had functionality, it has now become this thing where there are drops. They have different colors, which are obviously geared towards women. So it definitely became very clear that Stanley has sort of shifted who their audience and who their ideal client is to be women. That's how I see it, quite frankly. Now, I knew the Stanley Cup was a thing. I knew that there was a lot of hype around it, but I didn't realize how much until, at the beginning of the year, I found out that there was a Valentine's Day drop that was happening. I didn't know anything about this until I started seeing videos of these 2 cups, one pink, one red. And apparently they have a little heart in there somewhere at Target. And there were all of these videos of people running through Target stores, falling to get a hold of these Valentine's Day cups. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what did I miss? You know, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of it was FOMO. I'm like, why am I not in this? How, you know, like, what's going on? So, you know, watching all these people run through these stores to pick up this cup, I was confusion because I was like, don't they already have red cups? What's so special about this red cup? Please, somebody help me understand. That's where I was at that point. And then come to like find out that Stanley has been doing these drops, if you want to call it that, where they release a cup, a limited edition cup, with, you know, like limited quantities and whatnot, and people have been collecting these things. Like, I had no idea that this whole world was going on, but somehow my Instagram feed got a hold of me, and it suddenly just started showing me all of these like people with their Stanley collections. And I was shooketh when I saw some of these Stanley collections, because aside from the videos of people running through stores, falling down, doing all sorts of things to get this cup, camping outside a Target at like 3 a.m. in the morning, I was like, but how much cups do you need? Like, it's a reusable cup, you guys. So in my mind, I'm like, don't you just need the one? Because the whole purpose of the cup is for it to be reused. So that's where my mind went. And I was talking to my friend Rupi about it, and both of us have just been like laughing at this because we do find it quite funny. But then I was also messaging Karen Harris on Instagram, and we were talking about it as well, because this Stanley thing has been just all over social media. And I was talking about, like, how many cups do you need? There are people who have walls in their halls, like, you know, shelves that are just dedicated to collecting these Stanley cups. And even like the Starbucks tumblers, which is a thing too, apparently. Y'all, where have I been on this little rock? And, you know, one of the things that she said, and it really resonated with me, she's like, honestly, it's kind of not unlike a makeup collection, because, I mean, we only have 2 eyes. And that made me pause. That made me go, huh, you right. So while I'm sitting here in my little, you know, seat, judging these people for going crazy over what I perceive to be a very frivolous item, a cup, who am I to be sitting here being all judgy when, quite frankly, in the makeup community, we do the same thing. Like, I mean, just think back to what, maybe 2 years ago, not even like 2020, so at this point 4 years ago. Y'all remember when Pat McGrath dropped her limited edition Divine Rose 2 mothership in that pink packaging, and how people lost their minds, and how not only did people lose their minds over that pink packaging, but it was being resold on Mercari and Poshmark for like 3, 4, 5 times what it actually cost. You see the similarities that I'm coming up against? Because in my little sort of Stanley, you know, wormhole, rabbit hole that I went down, I started realizing that there is a huge market for resellers, you know. So a lot of these people that are running to these stores and are buying all of these cups, while some of them are collectors and some of them want the giant Stanley collection, a lot of them are resellers, and they are purchasing these cups to then sell them on Mercari and Poshmark at a stupid markup. And I'm talking about, I've seen cups on sale for $230, $250. Mind you, these cups cost $45. So to go from $45 to $250, y'all don't buy it. Please don't buy it. And it does make me a little bit sad, because it's so, it's not exploitive, but it's like, it's so sad to see people go out, buy these cups, and, you know, take it away from somebody who actually genuinely wants it to have it in their collection, just so that they can flip it and make a profit, and a stupid profit at that, you know? So I do feel bad for people in that regard. And I do think that if we want to kind of combat some of the resellers or whatnot, we can't give into it. Like, I've seen some of these cups be sold for like $18, $90. Like, people are actually purchasing this. People are going out of their way to buy a $90 cup. At that point, that cup needs to be self-washing, self-filling. It needs to come with wine. I'm just saying. I'm not paying $90 for a cup that doesn't come with a bottle of wine and then some. That's where I'm at. But like I said, you know, it really got me thinking about sort of the parallels between the Stanley Cup craze and the beauty community, which aren't that dissimilar. Like, it actually is quite similar, because we all know that when a brand drops a new product and it is limited edition, or it's something that we've all been kind of like eyeing, we can go crazy in this beauty community. We can go wild. And quite frankly, like I was saying, when I saw the cups, I was like, don't you just need one? Even myself, I have over 200 eyeshadow palettes, probably closer to 3. And somebody can look at me and be like, don't you just need one eyeshadow? Like, why do you need 300 eyeshadow palettes? You know, it's wild. So that got me to this, you know, whole point of like overconsumption, not just in the beauty space specifically, but not just in the beauty space, but overconsumption generally, and how I feel overconsumption is in the US. Because I'm like, is this an American problem? Let me know, because I do genuinely think that when it comes to how much we consume, it seems to me that this is particularly a problem in the American space. But if you're watching me from somewhere that's not America, please, you know, chime in and say if this is a problem that you seem to be also experiencing in your country. And as I was thinking about this idea of overconsumption within the US, I started thinking about also the other side of this coin, which is minimalism. And I feel like when it comes to the American culture, or what I've noticed, is that there seems to be no in between. Either you are buying everything and you have way too much, or you are in the minimalist camp and in some ways looking down on people who are not minimalists. I do think that tends to happen with people who tend to or try to practice minimalism. And that does bother me a little bit, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So let me talk a little bit about overconsumption. So when it comes to the idea of overconsumption, or what I see overconsumption to be, is essentially somebody who is constantly buying more than is needed, and an excessive amount at that. And like I said, I do fall into that vein when it comes to my makeup and to my eyeshadow products. You know, certainly I am over-consuming, because I think that there's a line between you have multiples of something. Like, I could see people having 10, 20, maybe 50 palettes, but when you have 100, 200, 300 plus eyeshadow palettes, that's overdoing it. And it does make me wonder, you know, like, why do we feel this need to constantly have this large, crazy amount of products? You know, why is it this need to constantly purchase and add and collect and bring new things into it? And how did we get here? Now, I never used to be this type of person. This is actually kind of like a new thing for me. You know, growing up in the Caribbean, we weren't just bringing a bunch of things in. Like, we could not afford to just be buying more and more and more. And quite frankly, I grew up in a family and in a culture where if something was broke, you didn't just go out and buy a new one. You fixed it. Like, funny enough, when I went home to see my parents last year, my mom pulled out this can opener that is older than I am. And I mean that sincerely. Like, I am well over 30. Well, not well over 30, but I'm over 30. Let's just round it to 30. And my mom pulled out this can opener that she's been using since before I was born. And I was like, this thing is still around and it still works. It's an electric can opener at that. And she's like, yeah, nothing wrong with it. I'm like, first of all, we don't even know what brand this is anymore, because the brand name is gone. It'd been rubbed off. The paint has kind of started chipping off of it. I was like, Mommy, like, I can buy you a new can opener. And she's like, but it works. Why would I buy something just to have something new when this is already working? And, you know, it's been that way. It had always been that way in my family. You know, like, if something was broken, you didn't just go out and buy something new to replace it. You fixed it. And if you already had something that did something, that had a purpose. You didn't just buy another one that did the same thing just because. And, you know, that was just kind of like culturally what it was. Like, you know, financially, that's where we're at. But now I feel like I live in a country and I'm in this space, one, where I have adult money and I don't have the limitations of what, you know, I had back in the day. And two, like, where things are, I don't want to say affordable, but the price of things in the US relative to what they cost in Trinidad is very different. So I do have more flexibility in being able to buy multiples of something. So several handbags, which I definitely don't need as much handbags as I have. A ton of shoes. Again, I don't need as much shoes as I have. And I find myself being in this place where I constantly like, it has a little hole. Instead of me thinking, should I get this hole fixed? Is it that big of a deal? It's like, oh, I'll just buy a new shoe. Or whatever the case is. It's like constantly adding products to my collections without like really thinking through, do I need it? Am I going to like get this to replace something else? What is the thought process on there? And you know, what I can say is that for me, when I was adding things to my collection, it was mainly because things were on sale. And I found myself buying products that I did not need simply because, oh, it has a good sale going on. And that's definitely not a place that I want to be in life. And it's something that I'm actively and have actively been working at getting past, because, you know, the whole reason in which my makeup collection grew as much as it did was because the market became so oversaturated. All of these brands started having crazy sales. When COVID happened, you know, people were going outside and wearing makeup. So brands, of course, weren't making the numbers that they were originally making. So things went on sale. So I bought everything that I could. Was it the smartest decision? Absolutely not. It was dumb as hell. But it is what caused me to grow my collection like crazy. And now I'm at a space where I am definitely over consuming beauty products. It is what it is. It is completely true. Now, I do think that when it comes to overconsumption, there is a lot of shame that goes along with it. Like, I think that we tend to look at people who buy these products that don't seem like necessities as not necessarily bad people, but as in like, look at how much money you're wasting. Think about what you could do with all that money. Because even I found myself doing that when I was looking at these Stanley Cup people. Because when I was looking at these folks, particularly the ones that have Stanley Cup walls, and trying to do the math in my head, each one of those cups are $45. And to my knowledge, because they've been so viral, they're not exactly going on sale. So if you have 50 plus cups at $45 a piece, I was like, damn, you know how many places I could fly for that? And that's if you got it at the actual retail price, you know, because we already know so much of these people are purchasing these cups at the inflated prices because they, you know, they aren't able to pick it up when it drops, and they have to be at the mercy of resellers who are definitely not selling it at retail price. So I was looking at it like, wow, that is wild. Look at how much money these people are wasting. But like I said, somebody could look at me the same way and be like, look at how much money she's wasting on these sparkly eyeshadows, like trying to convince us that she needed another blue eyeshadow palette when we know good and well that she already has a blue eyeshadow palette. You know, it was a little bit of a wake-up call for me to like actually step back and take a look at the feelings that I was having towards these Stanley Cup people and why I wasn't processing my overconsumption that same way. And it did make me think, okay, girl, now that you know and now that you can understand how your feelings are towards these people, you need to really be thinking about how you overconsume in the beauty market, because it's not that different. Now, I do want to make something very clear. When it comes to overconsumption, while I don't think it's the greatest for individuals, for the environment and whatnot, I still am and have always been of the firm belief that it is not my business what people buy. So people buy. If you like it, I love it. If you can afford it, you do what you want with your money. I don't think anybody needs to justify what they are purchasing, how much they're purchasing to anybody else. So I am not here to look down on anybody for how they spend their money and what they choose to spend their money on. Because while for me, I look at this and I'm like, look at all of the experiences that people could be having if they put their money towards trips and vacations and whatnot. That might not be something that they're interested in. Not everybody wants to travel the world, and that's totally fine. So if you get joy from having your wall of Stanley cups or having your bookshelf of eyeshadow palettes, that is all you need. You know, like, you don't need to justify what you bring in, what you spend your money on, to anybody else. So I just want to be clear that I'm not here to judge, even though I was judging. It is not my place to judge anybody for how they spend their money. If it brings you joy, if it makes you happy, that's all that matters. And, you know, as long as people aren't going into debt over these frivolous material things, that's, I think, the only sort of caveat and the only important piece that I hope people keep in mind when it comes to how they consume all these products. So, like I was saying, on the other side of this coin, there's like minimalism, right? There's this whole minimalist conversation. And quite frankly, I feel like when minimalism started coming up, it felt like a bit of a trend, and I didn't like it. I did not like it at all. I don't think I'll ever be a minimalist because I like things. And I work really hard for my things, and I enjoy my things. And while I am trying to figure out where the line is between overconsumption, minimalism, because I do think that there is a middle ground, and I think we need to figure out what that middle ground is and get there as a society. I don't ever want to get to be this minimalist, which, as I understand it, is that you have pretty much just the exact amount of things that you need to survive. Like, you know, like these, and that maybe there's extreme minimalism and like not extreme minimalism, but when I think about minimalism, I'm thinking about these people who like, and I saw a reel the other day where it was like buying the amount of cups that you have for the amount of buddies in your house. So if 2 people live in your house, you have 2 cups. I'm not doing that. I'm not. First of all, these things come in sets for the most part. If you're buying like a little cookware set, you're gonna get 4 plates and 4 cups. So what are you supposed to do? Declutter the other 2? I was like, I'm not doing that. But, you know, it's that kind of mindset where you only buy exactly what you need. You don't buy backups. You don't buy, like, you have like 5 purses maybe for the 5 days of the week. You have 5 shirts. You have 2 pair of jeans. So it's like literally like shrinking your life to just the necessities. And I feel like when minimalism became a thing, it was an interesting flip in the mindset, because especially when you look at the beauty community, there was a point in which everyone was aspiring to have these large beauty rooms that were filled with products, like just drawers and drawers of products. Like basically you would have a room in your house that looked like a Sephora. And that was something that people wanted to have and people aspired to. And then at some point it became like that nobody wants that. Nobody wants that anymore, because it doesn't make sense, because no one person can use all of that product. The products are definitely going bad. They're being wasted, and it's such a drain on the environment, you know, like the environmental impact that it's having, and it sets like a bad sort of like expectation that you should want to aspire to have this giant collection, especially as a regular person. Because, you know, in some ways I understood why the large collections existed, because for creators where this was their job, it kind of made sense. You know, you had a large collection because you were reviewing products, and in a lot of ways you were also comparing products. So being able to have multiple products, multiple brands, and especially multiple products that did the same thing in your possession, you know, that was a part of the job. You know, like these large beauty collections and these beauty rooms weren't just for show, they were your job. So I think there was a little bit of a shift in that once people started to separate the idea of these are just people's lives from this is their job and they are required to have these tools, these things. But with that, I felt like there came like a lot of shaming and a lot of trying to get people to move towards this minimalist lifestyle, where it was like, if you are not decluttering or practicing minimalism, not participating in capitalism and constant releases and shopping, you are this bad person that's just contributing to overconsumption and fast fashion and fast everything. And I was like, and that definitely didn't resonate with me because it felt very shaming, like you were just trying to shame people. And that's kind of where I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna be a minimalist. That's not for me. That's not gonna be the life for me. And I also don't want to be a part of something that just feels like it's trendy and viral. Like, I don't think that a lot of people that are practicing the minimalist lifestyle were doing it for the betterment of the environment. I think they were doing it because it was trendy and cool, and they wanted to just sort of be on that trend, be on that wave. Again, my assumption, but definitely doesn't have to be true, but that's what I was feeling at the time. Anyways, this is what the eyes are looking like right now. I'm gonna go ahead, finish up the rest of my face, come back, and then just wrap up this video with some overarching thoughts. I know this was supposed to be a get ready with me, but this was just a do my eyes with me. Sorry, guys. Okay, so this is the final face. I really like how this turned out. As for the eyeshadow, this is my second time using this. And I like it. I really like the color story. I really like the performance, the quality. This time it seemed to blend a lot better than yesterday. One thing I will say is that this palette has a lot of fallout. So much fallout. So much eyeshadow on my face. And I did my best to get as much of it off my face, and I do my base after I do my eyeshadow. So like the fact that there's still fallout, like I still feel like it's falling off my lids onto my face, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, overall I think this is cute. Let me tell y'all what's on the rest of my face, because this was supposed to be a get ready with me. I'm using the La Mer foundation with the Tom Ford concealer. I'm actually using an oldie, and this is the Fenty Beauty Hydrating Primer, because my skin has been feeling really, really dry lately. For my blush, I did go in with also another old one from Cover FX. I think, yeah, this is Spiced Cinnamon. I don't think they sell that anymore. Maybe not. I don't know if this brand exists anymore. Either way, that is an old one, and I still think the quality is absolutely amazing. So that's what I have on as my blush. For my highlight, I pulled out an old one from Charlotte Tilbury. I think this was limited edition. This is the Multi Glow palette. If I could get it open. Really nice, really soft highlight. And then for my lips, I'm using one that I've actually been really enjoying lately and been digging into quite a lot. And that is the Entranced Satin Allure shade from Pat McGrath. Y'all know, Patricia has not been on my, like, good list as of late. But it's actually really cute. It reminds me a lot of Tracy. Beautiful. Okay, so I just wanted to wrap up my thoughts on this whole overconsumption versus minimalism conversation. Just to say that I'm still not really sure how I feel about everything. I will say that I think that we've gotten to this place where overconsumption is a lot more prevalent because of influencers. Not gonna lie, it's like there has been this shift in the way in which people purchase and consume products, the more influencers that have like come on the market. And I think we see it now with all of these fast things that go viral. You know, like everything goes viral now that shouldn't, you know what I mean? I feel like virality has become so easy that it's not even really viral anymore. Like there's always some new thing that people are being told to buy or to try. It's like the newest hot thing on the market. And that is just causing people to purchase. It's like the best things from Amazon that you need, the best new beauty products. It's always something. And I feel like we're constantly being sold. And that is really sad, because I do think it's pushing us to want to and to continuously feel like we need to buy something when we really don't. Like if you have something that works fine, like you don't need to buy another thing that's gonna do the same thing. Just because, you know what I mean? And I'm talking to myself as I'm saying this, and I fully recognize that, is that if I already have a matte foundation, if I already have 3 matte foundations, I don't need to buy the next new matte foundation just because a brand is releasing a new matte foundation that might have like 2% niacinamide or 1% of hyaluronic acid. Like, it's just too much. It's too much. That being said, I don't think I will ever be a minimalist. I know I'll never be a minimalist. So I'm not interested in going to the side of the house where I declutter everything and I live with like only like the one thing that I need to survive. You know, I just don't think that that's me. But let me know how you guys feel. Have you guys been thinking about overconsumption versus minimalism, and where do you think you sit in this sort of like spectrum? I do think it is hard nowadays for people to fall in like the middle, but I would love to know if like you feel like you have a very nice balance, you don't feel like you're over consuming. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I am genuinely curious as to what this looks like for folks that are not within the US. I do think that this is a pretty drastic issue within the US, and I'm not sure why. But it does seem to probably affect us a little bit more than other countries. But I would like to know if that is simply incorrect. If my assumption, if my hypothesis doesn't make sense. Let me know in the comments below if you are not based or if you don't live within the US. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this video. I know it was definitely like a chatty eyeshadow look and not like a chatty get ready with me. But it was on my mind. It was something that I was thinking about. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, your perspectives. Leave all of that in the comments below. If you don't want to leave a comment, go ahead and leave a little shopping bag, you know, because we're talking about buying things. Leave a little shopping bag emoji if you don't want to go ahead and write a full-fledged comment. As always, before you leave, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe on your way out, join the fam. I want to tell you guys thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much more than you know, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye!